Good evening, all. It's FMA discussion, and welcome. This is episode 203, and tonight we have the one and only Guro Joe Apostle. So we're gonna get some comedy. We're gonna get some insight to his journey, all kind of lumped in one. So I'm looking forward to it. He's done multiple styles like myself, and it'll be interesting to hear somebody else that's kind of gone through that and what they experienced and what they took from it and what they give to their students. And that's all the stuff we're going to cover. Yeah, also, if you have not already, please sign up for FMA discussion on YouTube, where all monies that receive that go to charity. We do not keep any of it. It all goes to charitable organizations. You will be
Legit
helping us.
charitable organization, legit ones, real ones.
Real ones, not, I mean, we're not talking about Nigeria. We're
No,
talking
no.
about real, and you will be helping people. You will be helping us help people. So please do that if you have not already. Plus, you'll see other previous great episodes.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
so I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to this. And so we're gonna jump into it. And
Let's do it.
hopefully, we got some folks. Folks, if you're watching, please tell us where you're watching from and smash that like button. And
Yo, Paulo Rubio
and
already.
we got
What's
we
up,
got the
Poggy?
and all right, let's jump in. So what was your okay? So like we've already I mentioned, you trained in multiple styles and all that, but like what was your first FMA style you trained in?
Yeah, so my very first FMA style was from a guy here in Toronto. That was well, he's a local Toronto guy, right? And his when he first came out, his he was basically a Largo Mono guy, and based on the instructors that he's had, this one guy that he learned from, Lamberto Tiksay, back in like in the Philippines, and I believe in his university years, taught Cinco Teros. So I basically, in essence, learned Cinco Teros from the get go, and then this instructor of mine, he met Leo Gahe, and then he evolved from being a Cinco Teros guy to adding some of the, like, let's say, the knife tapping from Pikiti and so on and so forth, and then eventually he branded his own Kali, right? And then obviously citing things like, yeah, I was taught by my grandfather, da 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 da, and I'm like, okay, sure, if that makes it more legit, that's fine. And this was back in 94, around 94ish. So I
Okay.
was like in university kind of thing, and a buddy of mine who's a JKD guy said, "Hey Joe, want to come with me and check out this Muay Thai place and there's this Filipino martial arts place?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, sure, no problem." So I went with him, and basically I fell in love with FMA, and then kind of like went on from there. Um, so without well, you might as well call the name. So it was basically Jun De Leon from Toronto, where he branded his own Cali De Leon, which is now a little bit more international. He's a bit selective because obviously certain people have been
Not
evicted,
mentioning
and
anybody. See?
no, no, not pointing at anybody. But he was very particular, and he's very old school. Thinking of back in the days, it was that he was like a father to me, to be honest with you, and that was like. It was the main thing I think that I was attracted to be quite upfront, because here's a guy, he's like a father figure for me, and
Yeah.
he's pushing me and this and that, and to me that was great. And I noticed that even in the other FMA systems that I've studied, it wasn't really even the system that I was really more attracted to. It's who's at the top, who's the person
Mm,
itself. Do I resonate with them as far as character? Are they people of integrity? Are they going to swindle you and or whatnot, right? And that's kind of like where I kind of started from. So I started with Cali De Leon back in '94, and I remember at that time I was told um, not to study any other martial arts. And
yeah, man.
like you remember those days,
No, but
94.
you know what though? I just kind of posted something on FMA discussion. They kind of touched on that when sanctions tried to. It was a result of last night's interview, which I thought they did fantastic. In that, not one entity should control an organization or sanction as far as a tire system.
Hmm.
And you see that going on, or we're the only legitimate teaching, KI,
We're the real one.
and
We're
I
the
just
original.
and today people are seeing through that, the insecurities and all that, and
Isn't
I
that funny?
yeah.
I think you hit it on the head when you said
Yeah, no,
insecurities.
it's definitely
Because
insecurities. And my thing is, just let me know how that works out for you. You know,
yeah, yeah. So I mean,
you know.
it was very unfortunate, really. Like when I parted ways with Gurjun, and you know, bless his heart. I mean, he really wants to go. Like he's just like any other FMA master, right? Like he wants the art to grow, but the demons and all that stuff that we have in us, thinking that yeah, this person's not going to be with me or whatnot. And I mean, I can understand that. And I tell you, like he was truly like a father to me. And I would I remember as a young man, I had a young family. I had like literally, two young kids, and he would call me in the middle of the day and say, "Hey Joe, what are you doing?" And let's say I'm about to go out with my family, I would literally say, "No, I'm not doing anything," and then I would just go out and hang with them. It was just that, you want to talk about blind loyalty. I was there. I've done it. I've done the sucking up, just like most
No,
other
we've
people
all
have done.
been there and put priorities off to the side when
Yeah.
normally, under normal circumstances, in a clear lens,
Yes.
we would
Yes.
not do it. And I think we all, at one point or another, have experienced that. As far as he goes, his name's come up a lot, and
Who?
June,
Oh yeah, yeah.
June, and as far as getting him on, I don't know him. I don't, I've heard the name, of
You
course,
want me
and
to go
all.
drive to his place? I know where he lives.
Oh yeah, if you would mind doing that,
I'll
I know
knock
that.
and I'll video too. Gurjun, this guy wants to interview you.
Yeah, just stay on the interview and just
Yeah.
drive over there and just see what. But we got some folks saying hello.
Hey
We
guys, hey Dini, Justin Pogi, go eat some balut. Uh,
got Richard, of course, Paul,
hello Tennessee.
Denny.
Yeah.
We got June.
Hey, howdy man.
There's somebody with
How's
a
your
very
eyes doing?
altered sense of humor. We got
Yeah.
Justin and we got Dave Iron Tree. So
Yeah, yeah. What's up, June? Holy cow, all the way from Europe.
yeah, Italy, no
Yeah.
doubt. Right. So
So yeah,
then
I'll
what?
try to hook you up, like, cause I actually work with her daughter too, his daughter too.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if he's interested in coming, I mean, his name's come up a few times, so I figure,
I think it would be good for him. And I mean, to me, I don't really care about the past is the past, and we all need to make our
sure.
own sort of path and journey in FMA. So oddly enough, I got kicked out because I got into PSYOC, right? So the thing with when I met Pamana Tuhon PSYOC, like he was brought in by Gurjun back in like I think 2099 or 2000. At the recommendation of Manong Dan. Manong's there and told him like, hey, you should go bring this guy down. So literally Pamana Tuhon packed up his family in like a four-door sedan and drove up literally across the border and then showed us the stuff. And after that, I was hooked on SAC and learning, Gurjun stuff as well. And the one thing I do want to say about Pamana Tuhon Sayak was that he brought he brought me back to reality, meaning um, I trained back then because I love FMA. FMA, I'm training FMA because it's for my family. I'm trying to protect them and da 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 da. And I'm like, but then he kind of like said, Jojo, like, what are you training for? For family. So he brought me back to what family was about. So he showed me what his family circle was like, and I was
Mhm.
like, okay, so if I'm training for family, it doesn't mean that I put family second to FMA. I put family first, and then the FMA is supposed to enhance that family lifestyle.
Circle.
So it was through there that I actually, I attended a bunch of sama-samas. I dragged the whole
Mhm.
family. It became a family vacation. My kids grew up with Pamana Tuhon's kids, and it was a great journey for me. Like
Wow,
to
wow. So getting back to Delon, you said he was
mm,
more on the Largo Mono aspect of
yes,
things? Okay.
yeah, yeah. So Gurjun was a Largo Mono guy. His world famous sparring match was the one with Manong Ernie Presas, Grandmaster Ernie Presas, back in the
Oh,
days.
okay.
Because the story goes along the lines of Manong Remy or Manong Ernie, GM Ernie was, went down from Negros, looked around in Metro Manila, knocking and trying to find out, okay, who's the FMA guys here, who's the Ernest guys here, da da da. So he GM Ernie basically met one of Guro Joe's peers. So Guro Joe at that time was studying in university, and he was part of the Arnis team in university. So his friend got disarmed, and basically, the guy, GM Ernie still wants to fight whoever else is good around here. So he said, okay, well, let me go take you to June. So he brought him there, and then literally the comment was like, knock, knock, knock. And if you think of the culture, the dialects in the Philippines, Filipinos like the Bisaya, they have a very, when they speak Tagalog, it's like if there's a Quebecois guy speaking English, it's like they want to fight you all the time, right? It's like their English or their Tagalog kind of gets all very fighting like. It's
That's
nothing
pretty
like
good.
very. It's nothing like, oh, would you like to spar or anything like that? No, it was just like, so he knocked on Gurjun's door and said, oh, laban tayo or laro tayo. So like, let's fight or let's play. And then and in that sort of dialect and that tone of, because you know how you speak Tagalog and Bisaya, two different ways. So he was just like, oh yeah, motherfucker. I was like, sure, let's go. So they went to Atalahib, which is basically an area where there's like tall grasses and stuff. Like it's basically a field. And the sparring basically, I think it was witnessed by his friend something Ching. Ching is the last name. So the sparring went for a good like 2-3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes or something like that. And in FMA world, that's a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
even at the boudoir when we go 2 minutes, it's like, okay, it kind
Yeah,
of
two
goes
minutes is
fast.
generally the norm as far as rounds are concerned.
Yeah. So we went for about 5 minutes, and the story was that, so GM Ernesto Presas would do rompida. And whether it's the rompida where it's just literally like, when a kendo guy just goes up and down,
Correct.
or the rompida where you go slice up and slice down.
Like
And
KI, you know.
yeah, like the KI. And what
Yeah.
he would do is like he would just basically go up down, just trying to close that gap, and then get into a range where you can grab the stick. And
Uh,
Gurjun tried to do stuff like, I think what he first learned was like, you couldn't do redonda on it kind of thing, because obviously you're up on the same line. So what he did was he did an outside redonda going this. He was basically doing circular strikes, but instead of off this side, he was doing it off this line, so he can
right.
try and hit the hand and stuff. So there were times of like them hitting the hand each other and all that stuff. So Grandmaster Ernesto Presas basically wanted to go up close. And apparently this, well, I mean, amongst friends, right? Obviously after they fight, they become friends. Apparently Gurjun was basically staying largo, which translates to running and keeping distance. Because if a guy's
Yeah,
charging
yeah.
at you,
Yeah,
you
the
can't
guy
just
charging at
backpedal.
you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's got to go 45, 45, turn, 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 turn. So, and besides, he's also trying to get that 45 angle hit, off that redonda, right? The outside redonda. So that was kind of like how that whole fight was relayed to me in all those
Okay. Okay.
years from back then.
Yeah. It's the first time wow, that's interesting though. And so then, all right. So you meet, so they drove up. I've heard that before, like in the beginning days when Sayaka was trying to really spread the art, that they literally would jump in a car or a plane and
Yep.
they would just go. And I keep forgetting that, and I get reminded of it when I do these interviews, just how incredible that was when he was initially trying to spread. When I first met him, Long Island, it was 97 and 98. He started doing the seminars on Long Island to try to propagate the art and spread. And I
That
was,
was like where Long Island, isn't that where Tuan Roberto Torres was back then? I
yeah,
think.
he might have been there. I definitely remember Bobby Torres. I don't think he was there, but I remember the Cayennes. I did at the time. I didn't know them, but like there was a group of students. I remember off to the side there was this group of guys. But later, I finally figured out that it was
The Klein brothers.
the Cayenne brothers, Tom Kyer,
Oh yes, Tom Tom.
and all the big honchos and all that. And but he was like I tell everybody, very charismatic. Always had a kind word to say.
Pamana Tuhon.
Yeah,
Oh
always
yeah.
encouraging. I mean, you could have sucked that day, man. You could have not done a single thing right, but oh, that's okay. Good job. I mean, like always just something kind to say. And I always remember that about him. And like the Sama, you must have been there. 2003 Sama Sama. I
Yeah.
came to Matienzas.
Yeah, I
In
believe that was at the
Pennsylvania.
time that Chances came out like in public.
Yes, yes, exactly. It was 2003. So I came with the Atienzas and but at the same time, it was also with the Seahawks. And I was testing that weekend, and it was in that field, that torturous activity.
Yeah.
But that was, but you obviously were there. I mean, right?
Yeah, I was there. I mean, there's so many sama-samas uh that I've been to. I mean, like I remember there was a sama-sama where my kids, like, it's like in the SOC world, that's where I learned protocols. It's like, what the heck are protocols? So it's like, okay, well, we learned how to convoy. It's like, oh, okay, it makes sense, convoy, because there's like what, 30 cars following us kind of thing, like
It
trying
was
to
a
get to
very
on site.
military, definite aspect to the way they lined up. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I never knew what that was. And then, because I remember one of the first times I actually went down, so I went down with my family to have a private lesson with him, and he brought me to the Butohan place, which is where Tuhon Tom was teaching that night, and
Mm,
I had no idea what the hell it meant to be in line. So what ended up happening was that, sorry, give me one second here.
sure.
So what ended up happening was that I didn't know what the heck, it was to line up. So I was like, okay, well, let me just go line up. And I literally lined up right beside Tuhon, and it was just like, I was like, bad move. And it was just like, Tuhon Tom gave me like a bad look. I was like, what? Like, I'm not visiting. I have no idea what the hell, like, what I'm supposed to do.
Like you're supposed to know. I mean,
Yeah, is that, yeah, it's like, oh, is this where second in command is supposed to be? I'm sorry. Right. So
yeah.
that was, and, you learn about communications, right?
Mm,
Walkie talkies and all that stuff. You
yeah,
learn, like, if you're in a convoy, it's kind of like, okay, you know, clear left lane. So basically, block left lane. So you block the left lane so that everybody could kind of like
yeah,
switch lanes and all that stuff,
there was
right? And
definitely there was some military. It was tight.
it was great. And you know what? I think, and I mean, the Sox, depending on who you talk to, oftentimes get bad raps and all that stuff, and
They do. They
people getting
do.
kicked out, blah blah blah. But I mean, the way I see it, like this, just like the same way that I see, sort of like when I was, with Guro Joe back then, he had to make a decision based on the information that he knows and based on wherever he's at in his evolution,
Yeah.
right? Whether he was coming from ego, fear, or whatnot, like he had to do it because he had to do it. And for me, I had to go through it because I had to break away and make my own path, which was, I'm very thankful now. Like, uh, how many times can you say, yeah, yeah, I got kicked out? I was so happy that I did
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I
I
was
got to
put
learn.
on. Yeah, I was. I don't know if I was. I don't know if I was officially kicked out or I was removed. I don't know if there's
I
a difference.
well, it's funny because protocols basically evolve over time depending on who's there, kind of thing. So
Mm,
when you have people like me that basically went on sabbatical, kind of thing, it's kind of like, okay, well, it used to be that if you're off for a year, you lose a rank for a year, kind of thing. But
yeah.
then after that, it was kind of like, okay, well, you know what, forget this whole sabbatical thing. So it, like, the second time I went on sabbatical, I think it was like, then it became every year that you were away, you lose 3 ranks. And I was
Wow.
like,
That's
okay,
that's a
yeah,
lot. That's a
yeah.
lot.
So,
Yeah.
but, well, the thing is that if you think about it, if you're in a corporation, you
Mm.
have your HR policies and stuff. Like, if you
Yeah,
look
you're
at
right. Human
today's,
resources, like you just can't. No, I mean, I definitely get it, and I have no ill feelings
oh
for
yeah,
me, and I have no ill feelings without chances removing me because I didn't. You know, what I mean, it's part of the journey. I
part of the
don't
journey.
hold anything against them. I obviously got a lot from them, and
Hmm.
I don't hold any ill will. And it's just like you said, it's human resources.
Kind of, yeah, Tuan Jack, can you kick me out? Let me get in first, and then you can kick me out.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll send the membership fees tonight. It's in the mail, and then you
Yeah,
can definitely kick me out.
but
So
there has to be there has to be a meeting of the elders. They can't. One person
oh
just can't kick you out. So I don't
well,
know. He's got to meet with the elders.
veto stuff, right? Things that you can veto. Ah, Gurviko, kamusta? Kamusta? It's been a while. I heard you're in North Carolina now, so I definitely got to go visit you whenever I go visit GM Bobby there.
Yeah,
Yeah, holy cow. It's been such a long time. I mean, like, I remember, like, Gurviko when he came down to Toronto and met him, and I was like, wow, that was quite an interesting experience to just be, oh, let me, to learn the different arts, right?
yeah.
And, for somebody that got kicked out of different systems kind of thing for whatever reasons, it's like, okay, well, it's always great to learn different systems and stuff.
Mm.
And, here we are. So many years later. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like that's why I was so when I was doing the outline for you, and as things started clicking in, as far as like I had many stops, you had many stops. So this is really I was really gonna resonate with me just because there was a we're gonna get back into your system you done, but there was a time I'm thinking like when I was moving around, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like like why am I? And when I finally realized is that the reason why I was moving around is because I clearly didn't find what I really wanted and what really resonated with me. And once I did, I look back and like, oh, that is why I was kind of in here. But
yeah.
looking back, it was such a value because not only from the experiences and the stuff you kept and the different being exposed to different methodologies and systems, but furthermore, when I do these interviews, I got a pretty, not every system, but a lot of systems I can kind of tell, oh, this guy is gonna, no, he's, you know what I mean? Like, because if you've been there, you know what I mean, and depending on time frames, you kind of know what's up and all that. So,
Yeah. So it was actually interesting. So when I first got kicked out of Gurjun's thing, right? I was learning Sak, da, da, da. So I was just learning Sak, right? And to me it was a great experience. I was the weekend warrior that basically myself and my training partner we go down there over the weekends. Like I think there was a year where we went down like 5 different weekends and it's, like just driving down on a Friday, getting there in the evening, training Saturday morning, Sunday, and then leaving at 5 o'clock in the afternoon just to get back to Toronto by like 1 or 2 o'clock in
listen,
the morning.
it's man, it's not easy, man. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, like the thing is, like if people are right now, there's Zoom, right? Back then, I remember talking to Tuhon Carl because Tuhon Carl before he went full time into martial arts kind of thing, he was into IT, technology, and all that
I
stuff.
remember you got laid off. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and I remember at some point in time we were trying to do the technology piece where um, we would connect via camera. So I had a camera back then on my laptop, but I guess the connectivity, the technology wasn't there yet. So kind of like even if I did a movie, it would be like very choppy, and it wouldn't translate well.
Pretty
But
incredible that you guys were even actually thinking about that back then, though. And that's pretty
well, Tuhan Carl, Tuhan Carl's mind is basically like
nonstop.
he was trained
Yeah,
by Pamana Tuhon and just the way he
yeah.
thinks,
No,
pure
it's
genius.
nonstop. Yeah, I know. And even when he was, I remember when he got laid off, he was because he was coming up from New Jersey to Connecticut to see, and and I
Was it
remember
at
the
the
transition.
was it the one place where it was just like all hardwood floors and stuff? Was that the one that you were at?
No, the
It
place I
looked like an
had him.
industrial place area.
No, I that had to be so. In other words, when he started coming to Connecticut, it was just me, and
Okay.
Russ Iger was there too. And we were actually I was actually the first like training group rep for Connecticut. But then Danbury came around, the group in Danbury,
Danbury,
and then
Connecticut. Yeah.
Richard Sue then came, and that's when I was removed.
Yeah. 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 Just moved on to your
You
your
know what I
own
mean?
thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got it. I had the school, man. I just, man, I just had too much stuff. I couldn't be a student anymore. That's why I sold the school. It just was like, but yeah, but no ill. Matter of fact, we were talking pre-COVID. He was going to Danbury. He was going to
Oh.
for the and all that. And we were supposed to meet.
Oh,
That
dude.
was spring of 2020. COVID kicked, and of course,
That's it.
everything just got thrown up. But when he comes back up again, I definitely will make it. to go see him. I mean, it's been, well, I mean, wow, it's been a long time, but yeah, I definitely want to go
Yeah,
see
the AK. I mean, like this is a plug for him, but like I tell you, the AK swords, the Apocalypse and
yeah,
stuff,
I hear,
crazy, crazy,
no, I
and the
yeah.
quality control is just like, you
And he's
know,
on back order, isn't he?
he's on back order, and I'm like, I still want to order from
I
him, kind of thing.
know.
He has like the Panahon now, which is more like a straight blade, but
Yeah,
the cool thing is that his quality control is that he would swing the sword, and if he feels that the balance is there, okay, it passes. If not, scrap it, start again, right?
yeah.
So to me, that's like, freaking
No,
awesome.
I hear his stuff is because I looked when I looked up on there, and then that's when I found out everything was on back order. So
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
What's
So
up, June?
oh, we
June
got
Barha from Florida. Kumusta, Pogi?
oh, we got Richard Pac-Man. There.
Yeah, holy cow.
Congrats,
Jeremy
Rich.
Godet. Oi, Pogi. What's up?
Yeah, Jeremy,
I'm gonna
Brett.
tell you. Alvin from San Francisco. Kumusta?
Paulo's asking, is that a week's worth for you? No,
I don't know. A week's worth of what?
that's
Oh,
what
12 pack of San Miguel. Oh, that's the fees for Tuhon Jack for me to sign in and get a membership and all that
and
stuff.
then to be soon kicked out.
And then to be kicked out. Yeah. Now, my only question is, at what rank am I going to be at that time? Is that like a guru
When you get
rank,
kicked out.
a mataas na guru kind of thing? Because, maybe instead of San Miguel, I can bring some Red Horse and, you know,
I think it's going to be a pre-Tuhan rank, and then they're going to kick you out.
I think that'd be awesome.
I
I'm
think
looking forward to it.
I think they're actually going to create a rank for you and then remove you.
The
I'm just
clown
saying.
rank.
No. I'm just saying. I don't,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we got GM Bobby.
Oh, GM Bobby, kamusta po? Wow, GM
But
Bobby. Hold on, let me
wow,
get my typewriter first. I'm a typewriter to you.
you're bringing out the fan club. Wow.
Yeah,
So
GM Bobby, he's like my lolo. Like he literally is like my lolo. Like lolo as in like my grandfather,
yeah,
right? Because
it's
I
got a
mean
grandfatherly
he's
aspect to
such
it.
an easygoing guy to talk to and all that stuff. And I mean, very unassuming, but then don't mess him up. And his dad jokes are the best.
His bad jokes.
His jokes are the best. And he's the best looking grandmaster there is. Period.
Right, best hair, right?
I will fight tooth and nail against anybody that says that they're more pogi than GM Bobby. GM Bobby is the most pogi. Oh,
We
hold
got,
on. Paul is asking. Ask Joe
yeah,
about how he
matter of
teaches
fact, I'm writing
kids.
it down right now. So when
GM Bobby is the most pogi.
we
Is
get
that
to
what
your
you're writing down?
questions, did you
Um.
what system? Okay.
Okay. So, si Paulo's asking,
Yeah,
how.
so I wrote it down. So
Mm,
when I get to the part of you teaching, that's where
sure.
you
All
cover
right,
it.
great. We'll cover it at that time. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
all right. So you're in SAOC. Obviously, you're enjoying the time there, and you do your tenure. What was the after there? Where'd you go from there? What was the or what did
S-
you do in between? I mean, I'm assuming you were doing that stuff while you were with SAOC.
Yeah. So I was actually learning Balintawak in the same. So my journey with Sayak was from 2000 to 2016, and then
Oh,
Pamana
wow.
Tuhon passed away 2017, right? So
Mhm.
about 2013, 2014, I met like there's other systems that I've kind of like dabbled into. In fact, my very first Balintawak was learning from a local Toronto guy named Manong Robert Cinco. Robert Cinco, and his lineage is from the Johnny
Chin Chin. Okay.
Chuchin and then the Jogo lineage. That's where he was from, and that's where I kind of like first got exposed to Balintawak. It was like maybe for about a year that I was learning from him, and then eventually I met Guru Terrence, who teaches modern artists, and then learned from him as well, and then also, then he got into Jim Bobby's world, and then that's where I kind of got exposed to Jim Bobby and Balintawak because I mean, from an experience of learning Balintawak from two different systems, Jim Bobby's was very, it was very structured, which to me was like great because for me,
Yeah.
oftentimes it's like, what are the check marks? And I know that because you passed level one or whatnot, it means that, you've met requirements up to a certain percentage of
Mhm.
accuracy and stuff. Uy, Pogi, Terrence is here, so I had to say, Uy, Pogi. Um, so that's basically what at the latter end of my SIOC journey where I kind of like learned that stuff from. And I mean, obviously, I think even after that was when I met Guru Vico from Illustrissimo. Before all those things happened and all that stuff, I've already heard, even from when I was with Guru Jun back in the 90s, the mid to late 90s, I've heard of people like Sean Zerger, who's an
Mhm.
Illustrissima guy, right? But he was back then he was more known for what I remember to be like more his JKD stuff. Sean's
JKD,
yeah,
understand,
yeah,
yeah.
and from Makoto Kobayama, who's like, if you're in Toronto and you want to see badassery of JKD stuff, Makoto Kobayama is one of those OGs that you guys got to go check out. So, I mean,
Really?
there's so much people here in Toronto that it's like, they've lived a life of like bouncing and like, and
Yeah.
he's not a big guy, man. He's like this thin. So,
Yeah.
and he would just beat ass. He would beat you up.
I hear Toronto is a haven. I would love to get up there, but sad
Yeah.
still.
Well, I mean, we'll like I said, I have some relatives down there in Connecticut, so we'll go visit there and all that stuff, and we'll hang out.
Oh my God! So
Um,
where they live? Where they live in Connecticut?
it's the one I
I know
told you
you're.
about. Like, it's the uppity up between the uppity up and
It sounds like on kind of next to New York,
Greenwich, Greenwich,
Greenwich.
Greenwich, Greenwich. I think.
Greenwich is serious.
Yeah,
Greenwich doesn't
but
have.
but they're at the border. They're at the border, so they're not really rich. Rich. They're like, okay, literally, like we just passed this street, and then that means that they're in Greenwich
Okay,
already.
all
But
right. I know the
they're not
area
the uppity up.
definitely. Yeah, I know. Yeah, when you do, absolutely, please let me know. I know the area, but Greenwich is that's a field
Yeah,
trip.
yeah. So say hi to James. James Lynn, come. How are you, man? Take it easy driving there. Hopefully, I'll see you guys at the boudoir the next couple of days or so, or something.
We're gonna come to the
Um,
famous boudoir too.
yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about? Like we've been
Yeah,
like
no, no. So
all
you were
over the place.
no. You were on Bobby. So you
Yeah,
like your Balintawak journey. So
yeah. So I started learning from Guru Terrence and j- the difference is huge for me. And I mean, and it's not to say one way is better than the other. It's just that so many ways to conquer a mountain. Sometimes you have to go to the right. Sometimes you go over it and just go straight up. And Jim Bobby's system is very structured. And the more I'm into it, like right now, I finished level 1 to 6, so completion of the art. And as an
this
instructor
level
of different,
7, right?
yeah, level 7 is what I'm working on. It's
Yeah, you have to create. You have to kind of you can incorporate your experience, your past stuff, but you have to come up. If I'm not
and
mistaken. Yeah.
and I don't know, and maybe for me, I'm a little bit of a stickler on things that, um, like I looked at Jim Bobby's system and comparing it to all the other systems that I've studied as well. I can see like, oh, that's why he made it this way because this thing leads to this, leads to this, leads to this, and it's very compartmentalized, and it's kind of like if you think of strength and conditioning, you go through a periodization kind of a phase, right? So it's the same thing where you have your level 1, level 2, level 3,
Mhm.
and every time you go for your whatever next level, you get spot checked on basically everything else that leads to that, which keeps you honest versus like other people that, oh, I'm a black belt now, I'm going for my first dance, so I don't have to do the white belt stuff, right?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So going to level 7, I have to say, for those who haven't been uh who have looked into Balintawak and even like Arwid Bobby, going to level 7 to me is a bit of a, it seems to be like the longest part of my training. It's not as easy as it may seem. It's like, okay, well, I can incorporate da 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 this technique into that, but it's like, to me, that's not what the level 7, I think, at least from my perspective, from my experience, that's not what it's for. The level 7 is really for you to review everything you've known from the beginning up to
Mm.
6 and say, well, what the hell is this? And how the hell that, and being part of the boudoir, it's like, okay, let's see how the hell this stuff works, right?
Yeah, I've
And
seen some of the videos where you're trying to apply it. No, which I thought anybody doing stuff like that to me, I'm a fan of, where they're actually trying to see what they can incorporate and seeing all that. But his, like, much to what you're saying, he seemed very organized. I mean, his system. I mean, like,
who would have thunk, man? Like,
you know what I mean, like his levels, and then his, and this, and all that. I mean, like, I don't know. I don't claim to know Balintawak and all that, but if there was a guy who was going to advocate, I would say, just based on his organization structure, I would say no brainer, GM Bobby, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great, and you know what? Him as the head of an organization, he's like he's brought in other people and has been very welcoming towards him. And if you look at the history of all the things that he's been involved in, like, so I'm in Garimot as well, Garimot Arnis training with Grand Guru Dad, Bundio Bayat, yes. So, and I didn't know back then that they were like close back then, like back in Florida and all those things. So there's a lot of history and there's a lot of connection that Jim Bobby has with all these folks. I don't know. Did you see the one where Jim Bobby was singing or playing the piano or something like that with Tuan Ray? Like they were like
oh no, I would
there
like to
was
see that.
yeah,
No.
I saw that and I was like, what the hell? Like this is are we like in an alternate universe? Because it was just like, I never thought of them being like in music and all that stuff, right? So
He's
there's a
very
lot of
bright.
connections.
Yeah, he's
Even
just.
Manong Remy, like like the whole Manong Remy and GM Bobby, where Manong Remy basically told GM Bobby to make a proposal and all
Oh
that
yeah, I
stuff.
remember. I definitely remember that story, when I had him on an interview, and then I just met him in person, which I was so glad I took the time to stop when I went down to see Guro Joe, and so I'm like, I gotta let GM Bobby, I'm coming down there. I would feel bad if I went down there, didn't tell him, and then, I mean, that's just not right. So, and he was so saying, look, come right over, and should I think he was like 5-10 minutes away or something
Oh yeah.
ridiculously, and but just he, just so kind. He took us out to eat and showed us some stuff. But that I remember that I definitely remember that story though. But so gracious, you know what I mean? Such a just a kind human being, good guy. You know.
Yeah.
So, but
So June is saying looking forward to your
your
gauntlet, and I'm like,
gauntlet.
oh my god, I
That's
don't know
awesome.
how that's gonna be like. So just to give you a preview, like there is a gauntlet like for me when I go through my level 7 stuff,
So
right?
gauntlet meaning.
Meaning like survive the beatdowns that you're gonna get from people.
So people are gonna come up and they're gonna test
Yeah,
area.
basically there'll be a feeding that's gonna happen. They're gonna feed
Oh,
me
okay,
a
I got
gawk
you.
and all that
Okay.
stuff. Go fast, da da da. And then they might try to take me down as well. So it's like, okay, great, let's roll, right? And then
Yeah.
just kind of like go from there. So but yeah, that's all part of it's all part of the I guess whole entertainment. Like it reminds me of in the Philippines. So in the Philippines when I grew up in the Philippines until like I was around like my teenage years, mid teenage years, and I remember going in. It's not gangs, but you would kind of like consider it as gangs kind of thing. It's like fraternities, so there's like hazings and all those things, and that was all part of it. That you would have to go do service where like you're literally a human ashtray. You're you know and you're just trying to break you down like humility wise because
Yeah.
I went to a school where there was a lot of uppity up kids. Like we're talking about kids of senators, kids of mayors, kids of
Oh, okay.
actors. Like I don't know if you know Dolphy, right? He's one of like the one of the oldest, greatest comedians there were. I think he's passed already, but one of his kids, like I went to his same school as him. Not
Okay.
that we were uppity up, but it was just kind of like my mom saved enough and my grandmother, helped out a
Oh, for
lot.
you to go there and have better opportunity. I got you.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So, being in that kind of thing, it's a totally different animal when it comes to like fraternities and all that stuff. So going through that, like this gauntlet thing is just kind of like, oh yeah, it's just kind of like in the Philippines.
Hey,
I
it's just
went
like.
through paddling. Like if do you know what paddling is? You literally get like one of those like a paddle, a flat
Okay.
piece of wood,
Yeah.
and they would hit you on the back of the thigh. And that
And
was
they'll.
just like part of your induction into the gang kind of thing. And then at the
Hey.
end of it, the gauntlet was all I heard was like everybody 1, 2, 3, go, and they just all 30 people just jumped us in the group and just trying to beat us down, and that was all part of it because it's like, okay, well, you guys got to be able to stand your ground no matter what. So I just like punching,
Mm.
swinging, and everything and all that stuff. But that's part of the culture, which it's interesting to see bits and pieces of the culture I grew up with, and then it's being seen in FMA, right? Like the gauntlet was one of them,
Okay.
right? And then right now we're reiterating a few things that that Pamana Tuhon and the SARC organization I've learned from, like for example, sama sama.
Yeah.
The barbecues that we've been having here at the back in my backyard, and now we're doing something where it's like more outdoorsy and doing like a barbecue,
Yeah. No,
right?
right. The Mass Attack games and
Yeah,
chopstick wars.
chopstick wars. To protect the princess was actually from. I remember seeing that. I think we did that one sama sama, but I remember hearing about it from Tuan Patrick Consing in
I
New
remember
York.
him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I went to, like, he was my direct. It sounds like a multi-level marketing thing, but he was like my direct sponsor, right? So I went down for a private lesson with him over like a week, and I stayed at his place and basically learned from him and just got exposed to just like how he ran his
Uh,
school and all that stuff.
he had a great
So
school. He has a really successful school. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He had a successful school. He's moved on. I don't know what he's doing right now, if he's doing more
Mm,
online stuff or whatnot. But yeah, so I learned that protect the princess thing from him. It's like, oh wow, that's a great thing, and
mm.
brought it to Toronto, shared it with the group, and it's a great learning lesson for tactics and what was it, like 2003 and onwards? Remember, we were doing this stuff on a normal basis,
Yeah.
right? And at the Samasamas, and I don't know, like I'm just glad that we're able to share it like to a bigger forum. And
No, right, right. There you can. I mean, so even though you might not officially be with the
with
under the
them,
system, but you're still kind of propagating their system and the influence it had upon you. You know.
yeah, and I mean, like I definitely want to give gratitude where gratitude is due. Like they're the
Mm.
ones who taught me that. So if anybody basically sees that in their barbecue kind of thing, like I just want to say is like, hey guys, attribute that to the Sox kind of thing. And
Yeah.
if you guys want to learn some stuff from the Sox organization, by all means, go for it. There's a lot that anybody can learn from. And I
Yeah.
mean, like
Absolutely.
any system that there is out
No,
there.
I totally agree. I totally agree. If you're
Yeah,
open-minded and you're willing to extract that things that resonate with you, you can always go something
yeah.
that
You just
you're
have
using.
to. I think you nailed it again when you said when it resonate with you, because there's some crazy egos out there.
No, I know, and I mean, I see an FMA discussion all the time. It's like you see the ones that really embrace it, and then you see the ones that are on the fence, and then you see the ones that are just not even leaning over the fence. They're just like in this aisle. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah.
not leaving their lane, you know. You
Sorry,
know,
June said not to be confused with the
oh, the
blind
blind
princess.
princess, the blind
No,
princess.
no, no, not the blind princess, not the blind princess. But she has to
No,
be pretty though, June. Okay, she has to be pretty. If she's an ugly princess, it's like, okay, you're all let me
you can
beat you
just
with an
have
ugly stick.
an average-looking princess. What?
Yeah.
So, what was the all right next? So, Balintawak. What was kind of the next stop?
Um. Well, so Garimot would probably be my more recent addition in terms of systems that I've started studying.
Okay.
So I met Guru Dad like about 2, 3 years ago when he came down here to Toronto, and basically had a seminar, and I attended it. And I mean, I like the guy. I
Yep.
mean, that's that's all I can say with any instructor that I've
Mm.
had. I like him. I
Yeah,
I
you
can
have
hang out
to.
with them.
Tough if you don't, man.
And
That
he's
shit.
Tagalog. Like he speaks Tagalog and like super deep because he's from Laguna,
Mm.
and he's like speaks Tagalog, and I talk to him sometimes in Tagalog, and it's like, hey, and he understands part of the culture. For the Filipinos listening, it's like the idea of asaran, right? Terrence, June, like you basically you egg. Who else can you egg other than your own brothers? Like who else
Mm.
can you bug the most other than the ones close to you? So there's that sense of trying to outdo each other, but then also sometimes just really trying to um like I'd crack a joke, or I'd and then they would crack another joke, and we would just try to beat each other that way. Um, that's the kind of guy that I found Guru Dad to be. Like,
Okay.
he's not
Okay.
another dad for me, but he's affectionately called as Guru Dad, Gatpuno. And the thing is that the stories that, like, for example, going back to what Guru Jun was talking about, I remember when I was first exposed to Guru Jun, he was talking about, oh, it's Filipino martial arts, it's the arts, so basically it's hidden in the dances and this and that, blah 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 blah, and we use it against the Spaniards and all that. So it's like, okay, great. So and then I meet Guru Dad, and the thing about him though is that I met him at a SIARC event
Oh, in
years before.
Florida. In Florida.
Not Florida. It was the Poconos.
Oh, okay,
He was
Pennsylvania.
at the Poconos,
Okay.
at a Sama Sama, and he was showing his stuff. And when he was showing the Cincoteros and all that stuff, I was like, I like this guy's moves. Like, he is
Mm.
smooth like butter, right? And that's why I liked it. There's a familiarity that I found in his movements, because
Mm.
mine was in essence really Cincoteros, but you know he has the Laguna style of sukat and all that stuff, and the way that he's been taught Filipino martial arts from different maestros, it's like he's incorporated them all. And um if you want to call, you can call it basically codifying it, just like
Okay.
how I've seen it in other systems. Like, I've seen codification happening with the PSYOCs, in Balintawak, in Gurjun system. And codification could be as simple as basically certain patterns and themes of how they want to develop a Filipino martial artist
Okay.
throughout their journey, right? So the way he does it is just like, oh my gosh, he's like a chef, like, because he is a chef,
Yeah, literally.
right? Yeah, so like the Iron Chef, where it's kind of like he will give you one ingredient and then he will tell you how to cook, so many different curries. And for
Very
me,
good.
everything boils back to food, like being Filipino and loving food and stuff. Like, FMA to me is like food, just like how curry is curry,
Yeah.
but there are different kinds of curry. There's Indian curry, Caribbean curry, Filipino curry. There's Jap curry. There's all these curries, but then they're all still curries, and it's
Right.
all
Yeah.
still satisfying. So that's why you can have the balintawaks of the Quintada balintawak, the Atilio balintawak. You can have the short stick stuff like from the Cabales Cerrada systems, right?
Mm.
And then all these things, and if you look at all their movements, there's a lot of similarities where there's like a vertical block, a diagonal block of some sort, whether it's tip down, tip up, and then just how they execute things. So yes, June, I said food, curry, man,
Stephen,
curry.
Stephen Curry.
Oh, and June Barha, it's not Stephen Curry, man. It's the different curry. It's the curry that you eat, not the basketball. There you go again with basketball. Oh, ball breaking. Yes, Paulo Rubio. It is ball breaking. Asaran is ball breaking.
That sounds ball breaking. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So, where was I? I was like,
No,
I
no, no.
tend to lose my thoughts.
You're on Baez.
Arias, yes, Andres. Yes, I love curry. Yeah, man. Curry duck. I like, a buddy of mine makes curry duck. Um, which by the way, so here in Toronto, I met one of my training partners was from the UK and it's such a small world because he was part of Tuan Pat O'Malley's UK team,
Okay. Yeah.
and he moved to Toronto and he trained with me in SAC for years. So that's like Guru Shiv Sarju. So he's still in Toronto, and like his I think Rapid Arnest from back then, and
I
and
think that's
uh,
what Pat O'Malley's group is. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's such a small world that he came over
Yeah.
here, and now he's literally maybe like 30, 45 minutes away from me.
Oh, all right.
I
Nice.
say that because of curry, because he makes a wicked curry duck, which I've never
Wicked
heard of,
Curry
but then
Duck.
when he makes it, it's like super awesome. Super awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry,
So
you can tell where my brain goes. All over.
no. So just all right. So all right. See all these different systems that you're getting in all that. I mean, what could what were the benefits that you started to see and notice by training in multiple FMA systems?
Benefits I got from training in multiple FMA systems. So you can look at it from a microscopic perspective and also a macroscopic. So if you zoom out and look at a system, let's say,
Mm.
Balintawak, the six different levels, and then you go to the seventh, and then you look at deconstructing it, sort of like finding out the logical order of thinking of how these things worked, right? Then you'd be like, okay, I get it. And then you look at another system, it's like, oh, why did they do it this way? It's like, oh, okay, it kind of makes sense. So I think one of the better examples I can give with that is Pikiti, for example. So I'm technically involved with two, and I'm gonna get a rank as soon as I bring my beer to for for PTI. I'm gonna get a rank there once I bring my beer, and then I'll get kicked out. So like basically three Pikiti systems, right? So Tuan Jared PTTA. So I've gone through my Lakan Guru one testing in there. I've gone through with Tuhon Apollo Ladra, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Apollo Ladra from Maryland. So he's got like his system is his iCali training methodology is done in a way where it's four levels and each level has four modules in it, right?
Okay.
And he has it. He is a phenomenal instructor, and I tell you, if it wasn't for him, my wife would not be training martial arts right now. Like my wife has been with me, over 25 years, and she's known me doing martial arts and all that stuff, but she never wanted to get into FMA until I got exposed to Han Apollo Ladra,
Oh, wow. Okay. Great. All right.
because it's just that when you learn, going back to your question, like what do you get from learning different systems,
Mm.
you see how they approach the same problem of how the hell do you teach a student. How do you
Yeah.
teach a student? What kind of student are you looking for? um like, do you teach what if it's like, crazy army dude that you want to teach in the class, and then there's like, super shy girl right beside him that needs to learn the same
Yeah. Yeah.
technique of like, hit the throat, go to the abdominal aorta, and then
Yeah.
basically pull out of the ass kind of thing move,
Yeah.
right?
Perennial.
um yes, perennial. Yep. Number five. So with Tuan Apollo, like, oh, I learned stuff through him. Um, believe it or not, online, right, and also in person.
Mm.
But their checks and balances, just the way that they have the iCali system, I think is phenomenal. And I mean, it's something that a lot of people could kind of like learn to sort of acknowledge and emulate, because it's
Mm.
such a great way to keep. And I mean, I haven't seen other systems. It's just that for me, that in my experience, that was like, I couldn't believe that I was actually learning from the guy through Zoom seminars, Zoominar classes, through online training, and there's like videos that's available for me and stuff. So it's just like, they, through their method, I'm able to get my wife to start on Filipino martial arts. I'm
Mm.
actually teaching my nieces and nephews Filipino martial arts in the iCali sort of format of things, because it's so kid friendly. It's not funny, and
Yeah. I hear he's
and
got an outstanding kids program through the Taekwondo schools that he got himself immersed in and all
yeah,
that.
he's definitely big into the Taekwondo world, because I think he's like a seventh Dan or
No,
something,
in
and
Maryland, he had the Taekwondo. Yeah, and so he basically, it was very clever of him, get into the Taekwondo schools that he's affiliated with through the federation, and obviously it's paying dividends in more ways than one. I mean,
yeah, and I mean, he's actually very blessed to have one of his right hand guys, which is Master Ace Ramirez from New Jersey,
hmm,
right? Because Master Ace, he is actually a Muay Thai instructor, and it's basically similar things where he's been teaching Muay Thai online as well, and
okay.
creating quality fighters and coaches and stuff. So it's interesting, and just the way that they approach it. So, to going back to your question, what's the difference? Like, what's the great thing about learning different FMA systems? Well, other than like, definitely you get to have different skill sets, which is,
Mm,
it's a given, right? If if your if if your cup of tea is about thought process and just like how systems work and so on and so forth. That's a perfect way to get into it and just learn how different systems work. I think I was telling you, and I was telling other people, your martial arts needs is an enabler, right? So if Balintawak, like for example, Balintawak, is very much close quarter, and it's how it's being developed, and people spend a lot of time up close quarter where I can touch you, you can touch me. Then that's the play space that we have, right? But then let's say if you have KI, which basically looks at the measure and then all that stuff, or GAT, where you have your measures as well, or whatnot, whether or not you're just like a simple or a Largo guy, right? Then you got to figure out how those two things mesh together, because at some point in time it's like, you know you, for example, it's a good thing that I think everybody should learn how to do hip throws and judo throws and all that stuff, because you will get here, you will get into this sort of
Clinch,
situation
clinch.
in a
Yeah,
fight. Yeah, so you got to throw him down, right? And
yeah,
even if you
yeah,
just have one good throw, he's down. If he's down, you're up, you're winning,
yeah, yeah. No,
right?
clinch
Because then
is
you can run.
it's an area you can't if you don't have clinch. I
Yeah,
don't know. Could be problematic. How to
it.
negotiate that real estate far as somebody's Division One wrestler that's trying
Oh
single
yeah.
leg, double leg variations, and you don't know how to spear off his neck or sprawl. Man, that's going to be a tough day for you.
Well, Paulo and I did a video in the winter, and we were outdoors,
Oh,
and we were like
you guys went wrestling in the
in the snow.
I honestly, I do remember that video, and I thought it was, oh, neat, man. These guys are just taking out there in the snow and doing it.
And I tell you, like your gear, like if your shoes are crap, you can slip, and all of a sudden, guess what? It's ground
You're
game
around there,
right off the bat.
man. Yeah,
Stuff him with the face with some ice and snow, and then pummel him, and then do whatever.
yeah. No, I know
Because
ground. I mean, you got at least. I mean, I'm not saying you need to go deep in judo or wrestling, clinch, or
no,
Greco-Roman, but man, at least have some basics for survival. Like on
yeah,
ground, these guys like, yeah, I don't train ground. I'm like,
yeah.
okay.
So interesting enough, like I think you or somebody else had the Vale Tudo, Juego Todo guys from the Philippines.
Yeah, I think it was Tom Pena did it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, shout out to those guys, basically promoting FMA, right? In a manner that they want to. I definitely, I haven't been back to the Philippines for over like 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
So when I do go back there, I definitely want to visit these guys and see how they run things and all that stuff,
Yeah.
because I think it's part of the evolution of Filipino martial arts to have like those guys that just wants to beat down people. And I mean, they kind of, they've done it double stick, single stick, empty hand, then let's go.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, great. So it's incorporating a bunch of different things. Um, it's a young man's game, I would probably say. If if they get old people in there, I'm like, yo, you guys got to get a lot of Bengay and 8535 happening.
Yeah.
Uh,
Freaking man. He posted. Yeah, that was a good video. I
uh,
enjoyed. I remember seeing that though. I distinctly remember the video that you guys were talking about, and I enjoyed it. I thought that was kind of neat that you guys said, "Hey, screw the elements. We're gonna just go out there and just
yeah,
do
yeah. Let's
what
go
we
see
do."
what you can do, because
Yeah,
I mean, you're out there in the snow belt. It's like, what the hell are you gonna do? Like,
yeah. It's so much fun too,
are you
man.
gonna carry? Do you have a stick that you're carrying around all the time?
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
But
yeah.
so let's go. So tell us for those who maybe are considering going multiple systems
Hmm.
like we have. What pros and cons? What could
Pros and
be
cons.
pros and cons?
Pros and cons. Con, money.
Yeah, man, all right. You better have
you,
have
you,
deep pockets.
it you have to have a budget. Is all I can
Yeah,
say.
and believe
You
me, I
gotta
can
have a
tell
budget.
you times I've gotten. Now I'm better. I'm older, more mature. But man, man, don't listen to me when I was younger. But the bills and what bills didn't
Yeah,
get paid. Yeah,
yeah, and you got to prioritize what bills are important. to pay. So
Yeah,
budget is a very key consideration.
absolutely.
I mean, we all know that even if it's just one system, it's going to be X amount of dollars a month. Let's say if you're in a class twice a week, a 1 hour or 2 hour class or whatever,
Mhm.
and that that's already a financial commitment. If you're going to have multiple, then you have to look at, well, what the hell does that mean,
I know,
right?
I
I mean,
know.
obviously there are ways of going about it whereby, let's say you reach an instructor level, so you could either start your own group and you're training,
Yeah,
and
supplement the train. Yeah, sure, sure.
yeah. Um, so that's finance is the con. The pro about it is definitely the knowledge. We all know there's knowledge in there, the skill sets in there, right? The the warning is to keep things separate. That's
Yeah,
probably one of the bigger warnings, I would say, because, like, for
I agree with
example,
you. Yeah.
yeah, like, I'm trying to keep my garamot separate from my other regular largomano stuff,
Mm.
separate from the Pikiri stuff, even,
Mm.
right? So those are hard things to do, especially if you're developing different aspects of things.
Mm.
From the simple holding your stick, like for example, Balintawak for me is a very 90 between your forearm and your stick. But
Yeah.
other systems, you're looking at this
You're
extension
looking
right
more
here.
triggered or something.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
those are different habits that you have to compartmentalize as a student, and as an
Mm.
instructor, you gotta. There's so many terminologies to look at. The pro, once you get to the point where you can separate things and you can basically describe how the differences and the similarities in one system approach versus another system's approach, is that you have that diversity um, of basically, oh yeah, I remember Tuan Apollo was teaching it like this, and this is how he taught it. And from a skill set of teaching, I'm gonna apply it to this system
Yeah.
because they kind of don't have it as refined as it could be. So I'll have to kind of like break it down separately so that it could be understood in a much better way, and then still keep the essence of what that system is about, and then sort of like reintegrate and emphasize those nuances of how that system works, whether it's like, for example, Quintada Balintawak is very explosive, right?
Yeah.
Defense counter, touch go, boom boom boom, and you're basically your different ways of how they develop things versus um like I remember also. So we talk about Quintada. We talk that now. Let's talk about Atilio. So in Atilio, um, I was exposed to a little bit of Atilio, and we did a bit of it in the boudoir, where we talked about, like, let's say the four gates. Like, when this is here, you can have here and then here,
Mhm.
like where you have different ways of grabbing, and
Okay.
just how he compartmentalized that whole approach. So both Balintawak, right? But one has a certain aspect of like just categorizing, and the other one has a certain aspect of basically demonstrating and just execution. So I think those are like a few of the pros that I would say with it, that you 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 have all these things, but the con is really just
The money,
the money,
time
the
away,
time,
family.
the mental fatigue, because you have to separate them. and
No, I know. Believe me,
And
I
you have to
see.
do justice. You can't just say, "Oh yeah, I just attended the seminar," and
No, I
it's
know.
like,
I
no,
know. I
you gotta
know.
freaking put the time in. I
Yeah,
remember, like,
100%.
when I started doing GAT, it was like, okay, cincoteros. I was like doing cincoteros for like a good hour, just and it was like solo training. I was like, oh, freak! Like, I was like, my brain was like bored to crap because I was just doing
Yeah,
cincoteros over
no,
and over for
you know, the solo
an hour.
training, man.
Yeah,
That,
yeah, but that was part of it, because
yeah.
the only way that you can understand it is, like, in my opinion, right, is by immersing into what that
Mm.
thing is, right? um so why not meld them? You can, and I agree with
Yeah,
Brett
you
Reese. So why
definitely.
why don't you meld them? Yes, and to be honest with you, that's kind of like what's happening right now. Not that, okay, so let's call the elephant in the room. Typically, and Dean, you can kick me out anytime now.
No, no. I got the eject button ready.
All right. Um, from my observation, a lot of people have gone the route of making their own brand.
Yeah.
Like for example, there are local folks that I know that learned from, Grandmaster this and Grandmaster that and Grandmaster this. And what they've done is that, okay, I'm gonna be creating Bumbaclat Kali.
Yeah. Or this is my, you know what I love? Even though they're taking different systems and they say, well, this is my blend. How can it
Yeah,
be your blend? You're taking two systems and you're putting them together, teach it. How does that get construed as your blend? I don't
yeah, yeah. I mean,
But go ahead.
and I mean,
I always find that interesting.
yeah, and I mean, God bless their heart because I know. So in some situations, I know that they're hustling, right? They're trying to make a hustle. They're trying to,
Yeah, they're trying
hey
to
man,
read.
like there's
I
money to be
agree.
made in FMA. I've seen these grandmasters. They make lots of money. I'm like, yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. It's what it is.
Yes,
It's
Bumbaklat Kali.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Paolo, Bumbaklat Kali, man.
It's it's like a
Yes.
repackaging. Like here, this is my interpretation. This is my blend, and like a whole external, fascination to create that. And really, what it is took two well-known systems, or three well-known systems, put it together.
Yeah, I think you can so there's two things. Like there's Brett was suggesting why not meld them. So when I think of melding them, I think of melding them as in like, okay, so uh okay, so check this out. So I got this idea, and I don't know if Tuhon Carl already came out, that Kansas came out with the fighter types at that time, but I remember there was a
The
Sama
fire
Sama,
types. Yeah, yeah.
right? I remember there was a Sama Sama, and it was there can only be one. That was the whole competition. So everybody basically said, okay, it's a one-on-one. Like let's say 40 of them. Okay, who's the first two that wants to go? Okay, you, whoever wants to go. Everybody, it's all volunteers. Like okay, boom, 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 and then it's all headshots only, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So boom, 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 win, lose. Okay, and then you have two separate camps. Here's the winners. Here's the
yeah.
losers,
I remember doing it.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I remember going through that, and that was the first time I actually met one of the older Navy SEALs from back then, Michael Jaco.
That's right. Team Six was there.
I
That's
believe
right.
so, and
No, they
and I
were. It
mean,
was Team Six.
yeah. So Mike Jaco was there, great guy, and I mean he's doing his own thing right now, and
Mm.
um and and I remember, like, I think I went like 4 to 6 times, like because basically winners basically fight other winners, so you kind of go through an elimination process, right,
Yeah.
and stuff. So as we went through that, I remember going through, okay, in this fight I'm gonna be like a kendo guy, ready, boom, boom, and then I would exude that, and that's how I would fight. And then this next one I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna go play Largo this one, and then boom. And it's like I take on different personas when I'm fighting, different people. So that's the same concept that I have when it comes to sort of fighting. Like, let's say I'd be sparring with Paulo, and with Paulo I'd be, let's say, pulling out some GAT stuff or pulling out some KI stuff, and then once I get close, then I'll pull out my Balintawak stuff, right? I
Mm.
would literally sort of flip a switch and I'll have my game plan ahead, right? So that's kind of like how I'm melding them. But the idea of teaching them to meld them is that you need to be able to entirely and truly, thoroughly deconstruct everything from
It's a
that one
lot
system.
of work,
It's a
man.
lot of work, and you have to be able to um, do it in a way that does justice for that, because
That's for the system and the integrity of the system.
yeah, because you could be
Yeah.
basically thinking, oh well, it's this, but then you don't realize that, well, actually the only reason why you kind of think that way is because your instructor was right-handed, but the original guy was a left-handed thing. So
Mhm.
there's different backstories that you don't really get to know about,
Yeah.
right? And that's why, for example, like Guro Joe, he's a big proponent of Largo Mano. Why? Against Grandmaster Ernie Presas, who's trying to go close quarter with
Yeah.
him.
Right. Right.
The story and claim to fame is, hey, this Largo works. because I proved it and I was not disarmed and so on and so forth,
Right, right,
right?
right.
So that's why the melding is different. To Tim Tamaro Rivera's point, they need to stay separate. I definitely agree
Yeah,
because
yeah, I agree
that's
too.
how you have to, like in fight, all shit, like in a
Yeah,
fight, all hell
you can
breaks loose.
extract concepts and tactics from systems, but like much to your point, when teaching,
No, you need to keep it pure.
yeah,
You need to
I'm
have a
with you.
purity about it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I
Oh well.
mean, hey, you know what? If it works for other people to go blend
Yeah,
it,
no, I mean, we're not
go
trying to
for it.
dictate anybody's journey as far as teaching what they should do. We're just giving an opinion. Let's get to teaching because we're
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So, when did you start teaching? Like, about what year? I mean,
At the moment I got kicked out.
good answer.
Yeah. So if you want to talk about forward thinking, the Sox were very forward thinking back then.
Yeah.
Whoever, like, who in their right mind would have a ranking system back then in the in the 2000s kind of thing that's associate instructor and you can teach. Like, I when I first heard of it, I was like, what the hell? And that was actually one of the main reasons I kind of got kicked out because my name showed up as an associate instructor and my instructor was like, Gurjun was very surprised. He's like, oh, I heard you're instructor now, da 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 da. And I'm like, they put my name in there. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Tell them to remove it. I mean, right. If they put your name there, they put your name there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was probably like I mean, truth be told, like when I was with Gurjun, I was already helping him out a lot in class, kind of like I was helping him out in class, like trying to teach. I wasn't the instructor, but I was the guy that was sucking up to him and was actually very much like you know second hand in command wannabe.
Yes. I'm here for you, boss.
Yes, yeah. Just tell me to leave my family, I'll go. Right. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, that's about the time I started teaching, and it's obviously like sock teaching sock, and
Oh, so okay? So the system you start teaching was SAOC. Okay, okay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but
yeah,
now since then you've progressed to you're teaching Balintawak, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah. So right now I'm teaching Balintawak. I'm teaching Pikiti in the iCali format and also in the PTTA format. So those are kind of like my main bread and butter stuff right now. If you want to talk about systems kind of thing. Garimot, I'm still learning from Guru Dad kind of thing. Garimot because the concept of measure and all that stuff is just like okay, it's something that for me I got to go experience. Um,
yeah.
and well, the thing is with Sean Zorger as well too. So he's a local guy, and I was studying Silat from him a little bit as well too, and a little bit of KI, but like things just didn't match up in terms of our timing of like me, working with him and stuff and so on. So that's the kind of thing. So if there was another system, I guess, to kind of like study, it would be KI with Sean Zorger kind of thing.
Yeah, he's got a
Um,
good. I like his on the whole thing on measure Unipagata. I think it sounds like he really addresses that well.
and I mean the guys. I mean, if you've met the guy in person, the guy has a
Yeah, I
great
interviewed
heart.
him. He seemed very. Oh no, no, I got that feeling. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean like, he's to me I treat him like a big brother.
yeah,
Right. I mean, he knows all the FMA guys around Toronto kind of thing, and the JKD guys, and he was here back in the day. So, um, yeah, I
yeah,
mean, totally
definitely.
great guy. I mean, I'd say anybody wants to learn stuff from him, like whether it's the C lot or whatnot, by all means. Justin commented, "Oh, you rarely see Balintawak people actually using those techniques in sparring." It's like, yeah, I agree with you.
Maybe they should do so like you do, or
Well, yeah, I mean, it's let's just spar, Justin.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Let's just spar some more. I
Yeah,
mean, like I
that's
just have
how.
to
Well, you
fix
can
up
work
my
people
elbow.
well. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
get to Paul's question. Teaching kids versus adults. You know, so what's the degrees of separation?
Less than 7
Yeah,
because I mean, surprisingly enough, some adults. I mean, like if you want to talk about adults, I mean, obviously there's a gamut of from the ones that are like super athletic to the ones that are like two left
Yeah.
feet, right? But if you teach it in a way, and this is kudos to Han Apollo's methodology of teaching. If you teach it in a way that is broken down enough that and it's simple enough to instruct. So I was gonna say like, let me teach you transition drill one
I know.
from long range.
Yeah.
I mean it. So the SAC, the SACs have taught me a lot in terms of like how to teach. So there's a method of them teaching things, and that's the reason why they have templates, right?
Mm.
And that's one method of training. And prior to teaching kids, which is I'm teaching a lot more now, I was actually teaching primarily adults. And the SAG methodology is great because you literally just go, okay, tonight we're working on 3 of 9.
Three of
Let's
nine.
let's go. One,
I
two, three,
got
four, five,
straight.
6, 7, 8, 9, and then
I got three
right
nine.
versus left. So I'll do
Right.
right, you do
Yep.
left, and then we'll go doubles at the same time. And
Yeah.
then there's also the true left. So I
True
go
left.
right, left, and then true, and right, left, true, right, left, true, and all those things that happen, right? But um, there's a difference. I mean, it's also system specific, is what I found,
Mm.
right? Um, like I remember when I first started learning Balintawak, for example, Balintawak was um, the way that the system was designed was more for like one-on-one type stuff. It's not like, think of a karate class. Okay, everybody go punch
Yeah.
together, right? It wasn't really designed for that. And then the way that the system was done was to an extent hierarchical in the sense that if I'm a level 2 and you're a level 1, there are things that I'm working on, and there are things that I can do with you, and there are things that I should not do with you because you're not at that point of competency where you're supposed to be doing this thing, right?
Yeah.
So there's like gates that you would have to kind of like pass
Right.
so
You
that you
see
could
into
work.
the future. They don't. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So but at the very bottom of things is that it is adults think the same way as kids.
Mm.
So that's why Tuan Apollo system I found very useful. That
I gotta get man. I'm trying to get him on because I'm fascinated
he's
with
so
the.
busy.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
Eh, Oh, dude, like if you get him on, he's such a fun guy. Like we would
No, he
talk.
called me up one time. So I'm like, oh my god, this guy's in. He called me,
Yeah,
and so then I'm like, okay, let's do it July, and then I
yeah,
never
yeah.
heard back from him.
We would talk in Tagalog. Like I was talking to him about a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
and you know what? The guy, I have to say, he's one of the guys that I know that is connected with GT Gahe still at this point in time,
Yeah.
and we all
Yeah.
know that we're all human and we all make mistakes and so on and so forth
Mm.
and so on,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he loves the guy, and I can see that, and he's like a father figure to him, and what can I say? Like I
No, he
can't
seems like a really
I can't
good
believe
guy
he's still
when I heard
connected
him
with him
call
and
me.
he's chatting with him.
Yeah.
Like literally, like
Mm.
they're on speed dial, and sometimes GT would wake up at 4 in the morning, and they would call him he's like, "Oh, are you awake? Gising ka pa? Okay, ganito, ganito," and then they would talk and all that stuff, right? So, uh, eh, anybody that's looking for FMA, all I gotta say is like you guys gotta, even with Pamana Tuhon Sak, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that gravitated towards the Sox because of it fills a certain void, whether they have a certain place of acceptance that they've been accepted to be for the
Yeah. It's
craziness that they have. Because I
definitely.
know there were crazies in class.
No, no, no. The problem people in the criticism was it's cult like, and that perception of cult like tends you get people that are maybe they were not the most popular kid in high school, or they're the disenfranchised. Sometimes the cults appeal to them because now they're part of something. You know what I mean? They put,
Yes, they're accepted in some way, shape, or form.
and
Oh, I
sometimes,
have a commonality with somebody. I'm not just a
yeah,
loner now.
yeah, it doesn't mean you're getting the prime, students per se. So,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So Paolo was saying so much on Toronto area and Montreal,
yeah,
Ottawa, BC region as well. I definitely agree. Tuhan Philip Galinas is
he's just
the
on West
man.
Coast.
He's
Yeah,
he's he's the OG.
yeah,
Like
for
I remember
sure.
hearing from him way back when.
I mean, I remember watching him and Eric in the parking lots. sparring. I mean, yeah, definitely OG on that. So what as far as your students, regardless of, because we're coming up an hour and a half already, man, this has been fun. Um,
Wow.
as far as I know, time, I'm telling you, this is like the fastest interview. Like, I don't know, it must be your charm. I
I
guess
don't know, man. My brain just goes all over the place.
it's all right. But what do you try? I mean, regardless of children or adults or whatever, what do you try and instill in your students as far as their individual journey?
Oh, okay. So lately, this is what I've been. There's three areas that I've really been trying to focus on: physical, emotional, and mental. And because I look back at my own journey, the
Mm,
SIARCs, for example, taught me about the mental part of things and the emotional part of things and the physical part of things. Because a lot of our movements are very physical. Like, he talks about Pamana Tuhon talks about PT, your
mm,
your physical training, right? So those are the three areas that I would say that I'm working on with kids. I realize that with kids, man, like kids nowadays are definitely not the same kids that we were at way back when, where they're like very
no,
more sturdy, you know.
no, it's the softening.
Yeah, there's a lot more softness. So
Yeah.
um, there's a certain strengthening that they need, but realizing just how where they come from, then you kind of like, and like there's a lot of talk about ADD and so and so and so forth, and I'm like, I'm starting to just like know more about it. So it's like, oh, okay, all right, well, to me it's like ADD is nothing else but it's another genius that they have, and somebody just has to translate for them to so
Right.
that
Just
they
has
can click on
to.
their genius.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's. I like that though. I've never. I don't ask this question of every guest, but every once in a while I do throw it in there, and I've never gotten an answer as far as the three elements that you brought up: physical, psychological, and
Yeah,
mental. I think that's a nice way of looking at it. You're covering three obviously important areas, regardless of age. I mean, it's
yeah.
not like you get adults in there, man. Some adults,
Y-
you might have to work on their psychological balance
yeah.
or imbalance. You know what I
And I
mean?
mean, like, oh God, I remember. So one of my students, they basically have some challenges in terms of understanding palm up, palm down. When you thrust this way, this like those things are just to me like, okay, physical, because it's about really telling yourself, I have a hand and my hand needs to be palm down when I do this thrust. When I do this thrust, then I have to go flip it palm up and then slash it. So if you think of the different templates that you and I run with SIOC and
Yeah.
Atienzas and all that stuff, your palm down thrust, carotid and so on and so forth, you literally are doing things where you're hitting it. It's a and even in Balintawak, I've seen this because you're looking at verbal teaching ways where you're verbalizing whatever your targets are, like Balintawak steady one. So it's you're hearing things, and then now you have to say it, and then when you're reading it, you're digital, you're going hitting different ways of learning and teaching, and it
Mm.
really helps enhance a person's thought process, because not that many kids, I tested one of my kids last night. Hey, why don't you teach us how to do this Roblox dance? Oh yeah, well, you just go do this and then do this. It's like, no, 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 well, hold on, remember when Guru was teaching you, like, what was I saying? Like, do you go make your arm straight or do you bend it? It's like, okay, 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 so you swing your arm going down and then go up, and then you bend, and then you go down again going the other way, and then so they're learning how to take control of their physical body because they're so
Mm.
awkward. So now they have to tell themselves how to do things and so on and so forth, and there's that coordination that basically gets to be developed in them over time. And this is the same for any adult, because I
Oh,
mean, a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
adults Fortnite dance. Yeah, I've kind of heard that there was a bit of a Fortnite dance too,
But
but I have to. I gave my kids a homework saying, "Hey guys, I want you to go on
it was
on
funny.
YouTube, look up a dance move, and I want you to teach it to the rest of the group when we get together in next class." So then,
Uh,
because then it goes beyond martial arts.
yes.
It goes into learning. It goes into you're giving them skills on how to solve for a problem,
Yeah,
right?
I like your answer. No, I think that's great the way you verbalize that. I've never heard in as far as those three elements and like that. And I like that. It's
Cool.
funny, you know, when I first taught FMA, I didn't teach adults. My first FMA was kids because I
Really? What did you teach them?
pilot program Atienza. So what they
What? There was a
well,
pilot program at Tenza?
here's the thing. There's kind of plans were lined up. So Action Flex just came out.
Yeah.
Okay. Carl said, so Carl, when I was teaching him, I was teaching JK. It was an MMA school for kids. It was early 2000s. So I had basic punches, kicks, throws, takedowns, ground positions, and escapes. He goes, man, he goes, so he saw this one kid do a jab cross. He came under, pulled a double leg, one to side control to mount, and goes, wow. He goes, man, that was pretty incredible. That chain. Do you think you could teach FMA to him? I'm like, I know I can. So hence the pilot. So I didn't have adults first. My first teaching experience was with kids. You know,
Nice.
the hourglass,
Oh,
short thin X,
yes.
long thin X, block 1, block 2, block 3, block. I mean, and it went great. I mean, this is almost 20 years ago, but it's funny though.
Hourglass.
Yeah, the hourglass, yeah, and all the variations within the hourglass. You know what I mean? But it's just funny. Like I agree. I mean, it's like just people think, oh, kids and all this. Well, man, there's some adults that are more challenging than teaching kids. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you get to see the adults after years of crap that they've been through. And then when I say crap, I mean you have those that, oh, I don't feel like I'm worthy of anything and this and that, da, da, da. So you see those insecurities come out in their other things, right?
Yeah,
So that's why it's kind of like,
baggage.
oh yeah, baggage,
Unfortunately.
yeah. Like I tell my one of my students I was talking to, I was like, hey man, listen, I need to see you more like just owning things and just like hit, right? Like when you and I train, or like when I train you on the bag kind of thing, I want you to hit it and just like let go, because you're like, fuck, you know how to do this close quarter stuff. You also know how to do the long range stuff. Let's just go start owning it and put those two things together so that
Mhm.
you do you with these elements that I'm teaching you. And
Yeah,
then and
yeah.
then and then you everybody's happy. The one thing I think that not all Filipino martial artists, and yes, I'm categorizing all Filipino martial artists, controversial as it may be, is that this. How many Philippines are there?
I mean, Philippines,
Yes,
Phil one.
one. That's my point.
Yeah.
There's only one Philippines. Whatever your art is, if you think about what we as a country had to go
Mhm.
through, our ancestors and our ancestors had to go through the 300, 600 years of being under Spanish
Right.
rule and then
Right.
breaking away from it. There's only one Philippines.
Yeah. Say
So
that
having
in
said that, like this, the fight over like,
No, I tell me. I mean, post an FMA discussion. Hey guys, there's only one. But we're coming up on. Okay, hey,
yeah,
let's do this. I'm thinking. I think what we have to do is you have to talk to Paulo if he's still on here. But
yeah,
I'd like to cover your guys Wednesday night
yeah, sure.
because I see a plethora of styles and stuff going on, and I think it would be really advantageous for the rest of the community to see what you guys do with these different styles coming together and this mesh of stuff and this self-finding and self-creation and this molding pot, so to speak. But I think it's absolutely healthy. And I would like to cover you guys Wednesday night and all that. So there's kind of you, Paulo, it's a guy named Steve, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, yeah. Coach
Okay,
Steve
okay.
Dinamo. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can do something over at Paula's place.
Yeah,
No
that would
problem.
be. Yeah, I know you have to talk, to the businessman there, and
Businessman, who? Which one? Hello?
but, but hey, last thing, what changes would you like to see in our wonderful FMA community happen?
Um, I would say one. That's my
One
word
change.
again. One.
Let's hear
One
it.
change. One. Just be one. Just like how there's only one
Oh, I like
Philippines.
that. I like that.
There's only one Philippines. That's all there is. One Philippines.
Yeah.
We in our FMA in the various provinces that we all came from rose against the tyranny of back then to get freedom and independence.
Now only to
So
be like splintered. Isn't that crazy?
And the thing is, the
Oh, man.
Spaniards left. You know, how long ago did the Spaniards left? They left like easily 200, 300 years ago. And
Oh,
here we are,
yeah, yeah.
still under that influence of
That
divide and
colonization
control.
mentality. The
The
colonization
divide and
mentality.
control. Yeah, divide and conquer.
I know.
Because that's how the Spaniards got to us.
Colonization. Oh yeah, yeah.
Divide and conquer. So they've been out of power for the longest time. So
Mm,
let's go get our blades back and just basically train to, because the way I see it is this: every Filipino martial arts school there is, I see all of you guys as the ones who are protecting the loved ones. You are not the bad
mm,
guy. If you're the bad guy, I'm like, I'm gonna have to kill you.
yeah,
But
right.
if you're an FMA, the way I see it is that you're one of the good guys. So even like when we're training at the boudoir, it's like, hey, if you're in this training, you're in this training group, we're training together. We're the good guys. The bad guys are out there. They're the ones we're trying to train
Yeah.
against.
So why the hell would you be like infighting? I know
Yeah,
it's so twisted. I can't even with FMA discussion. Some of the I can't wrap my head around it because I don't understand the mentality. So when I don't understand
yeah,
someone's mentality, I tend to just be like, take them, and then put them over there because
yeah,
I can't even like begin to think why your rationale. I don't know.
yeah.
But, oh, he just
There's
commented. Made discussion live at the boudoir. We can
yeah,
show.
yeah,
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 let's do
definitely.
it
We'll go for it. Yeah.
Wednesday
And I
night.
mean,
I'll be right there.
yeah, we'll do it this if you want this Wednesday. Hey man, I'm good. I'll come over there. I'll bring a few drinks for us and all that stuff. Just
Let
the
me check the
same.
schedule because I know Tom paying it. He might not. I
It might
mean, it
be.
could be free, but I mean, let me check.
Okay, let us know, man. Yeah,
But,
I'm good
but if
for it.
not,
Just let me know. I'll bring the alcohol and stuff.
they could be the
That's all
following
part of the
Wednesday.
process.
Wednesday nights I generally have free. So if Tom, it's not, it could be for the following. But this has been absolute enjoy. I appreciate you coming on. We definitely want this because I definitely would like to get this way you guys can actually showcase your different stuff you're working on, and then kind of maybe name the system so people can actually see everything your guys doing and the different arts and systems you're pulling from and all that.
Yeah.
I think the folks would enjoy that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I think it'd be a great time for everyone, and Paulo's doing a great job of being an ambassador
100%.
to FMA and stuff too, and
Yeah.
the guys there, Steve, James, we've recently met a few people in the African martial arts world and more people into the HEMA, and it's kind of like, hey man, we're all in the same world of being
Yeah.
geekish, like let's go fight a war kind of thing. So
Yeah. I love what he's doing there and what he shows on the Wednesday nights. And I'm obviously a fan. So, Paulo, I did. Oh, check your messages on Brandon if I could set you guys up this week, whatever. But
yeah, sounds good.
all right, appreciate you coming on. This has been absolutely wonderful. So what I do is I download this and post it, but I also definitely will post and share it to your wall and all
Sounds
that.
great.
Yeah, yeah.
Maraming salamat, Dean. We
Yeah,
have to go
again.
drinking one of these days, and
Well,
when
hey,
I visit,
when you come to Connecticut, obviously
it's a
it's an
matter of
hour.
time, man. Just give me some time. I'm a head down there, and I'll probably work or something online for a month, just so that it'll be worth my trip down to the U.S. and all that stuff. Visit
Yeah,
a few
no.
people.
If you're coming to Connecticut, I mean, that's a done deal. I mean, I'm in the car and I'm driving down. So yeah,
Let's go. Let's go. Find out where Tuhon Carl is and maybe meet him somewhere.
yeah.
He could be in Arizona. Who knows, man?
Last, uh, I think New Jersey still. New Jersey or Pennsylvania?
Well, yeah, he's by the Poconos, but
Yeah.
he does a lot of traveling because he's
No,
got
I
like
know it's
his
Tampa, the
trailer.
whole traveling, and
Yeah, his traveling knife making thing, man. I'm like, that is
um,
so sweet.
that's the life, man. Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
he absolutely made some good decisions. I know.
absolutely, absolutely.
But
Well, maraming salamat, Dean. Thanks everyone
yeah,
for checking us out,
yeah,
and
appreciate it.
yeah,
You
yeah,
take care of
anything we
yourself,
can do
man.
to help. Yeah,
Yep.
anything we can do to help you in your FMA
No, what's going to
journey.
help is I think covering you guys Wednesday night where people see that. I think that's going to be a good thing for people to see. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So stay on Paulo because he's
Yes, I
got
will. I will give him kulit kulit and then tell him to come out.
yeah he's
Maybe
got
GM Pogi will show up
I was
too,
gonna
huh?
say, do you think maybe his uncle would pop by? Or
I will put a good word in
me,
for you.
yeah, me and his uncle, we kind of were getting along there for a while. So I'd
Well,
like
you
to
know, with the
see.
alcohol, he can come out anytime.
Oh, well,
I will bring extra alcohol for him.
that alter ego. Okay.
Yes,
Well, yes,
yes,
if you
yes.
put a good word in for the uncle, I would appreciate that.
I will tell Tito Pogi to come out on Wednesday for you. Just for you.
That's good enough for me, man.
All right. Thanks a lot, Dean. I appreciate it.
All right,
Magandang
appreciate
gabi,
you.
everyone. Take care.
You take
Ingat.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, that is like the fastest interview. I know. I'm like looking at the clock and coming up on an hour and a half already, man. That just was like, man. But yeah, that was a great one. And who is next? I actually don't know. I know Tom Pena is doing somebody. I think somebody in Germany. But anyway, yeah. So, folks, thank you for tuning in, and until next time.